Okay, so I had to start in here post-production, just give you a quick little cut. Sony has just announced that they have done a 180. They have reversed their decision and they are not shutting down the PS3 and PS Vita stores. So that does affect this video a little bit. Everybody that's been making these PS3 videos for the last couple of weeks, the pressure is off now. You don't need to run out and buy these games immediately. However, I think this video still has value because the attention is now on the PS3 library. People are thinking about PS3. A lot of people are interested in PS3 again, and PS2 and PS1, digital copies and physical copies. And what you need to remember is, once that attention is on a library, it is going to maintain or continue to grow. These games are going to maintain or continue to grow in value, and every one of the games on this list has already been growing in value before the news of the Sony shutdown. So take that for what you will, but I think there's still value in this video. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to NerdCrave. So everybody's been talking about the PlayStation 3, the PSN network shutting down, of course, digital versions of games on the PSP, the PS Vita, and the PS3 disappearing as of this summer. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about digital games that you should download because my friend Radical Reggie has done a ton of videos on these, and I will link to his channel down below. Check him out. He's absolutely done a great job of digging through the PS3 store and finding games that are either exclusive to downloads or games that are just very expensive physically that you might want to choose to download just to save some money and check out those games. So go check out his channel for sure. But today I've got 25 physical games, and I'm just going to go through them really quick. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about each game, but these are games that I have noticed are going up in value physically, and you can be damn sure that as soon as that store shuts down, and we're already seeing it now, PS3 games are climbing in price. Stuff that was $10 just a few months ago is now $25, $30, $35, and climbing. So here are 25 games that I think you should pick up as soon as possible if you're looking to build a PS3 collection, because these games are all going nowhere but up. Alright, so as I was saying, there are 25 games here that I think you should pick up really soon for your PS3 collection if you're looking to get them at a decent price, because they're still reasonably priced. Even if they are climbing, they are starting to climb, but they are still reasonably priced. So the first game I've got here is Lollipop Chainsaw. This is a fantastic, unique game. I'm not sure if this is available on other platforms, but I'm pretty sure it's exclusive to the PS3 and maybe the 360. I'll have to look into that, but this game is a lot of fun. It's really unique, and it is definitely climbing in value. Next thing I want to mention here is, this is kind of an unusual one. This is Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. This is the physical DLC for Red Dead Redemption, one of the biggest games on the platform. Now, this is not exactly rare, but with the digital stores shutting down, this is a great thing to have in your collection. You can play this as a standalone game, but this is also DLC for Red Dead Redemption, which if you're going to get your hands on anytime soon, now would be the time before no one can get it from anywhere. Now, I don't know if you have a gun con or not, but if you don't, you should probably pick one of those up before PS3 stuff starts getting too expensive as well. The Time Crisis series is absolutely phenomenal. As a light gun shooter series, it's so much fun. Metal Jesus talks about it, Radical Reggie talks about them. These games are a lot of fun, and they are starting to get more expensive, so it is definitely, you might be able to pick this up for 10 or 15 bucks right now, but I will bet you dollars to donuts this will be twice that in a couple of months. Something else, obviously, if you've been around the gaming world for a while, you've probably been aware of last year or the year before, the big crunch for DuckTales Remastered, which was available on multiple platforms, the Wii U, the 360, etc. and everybody was going crazy to get physical copies of this because it was delisted. And that's exactly what's going to happen to all of these games when they're delisted from the eShop and nobody can get their hands on them anymore. Stuff like this is going to go crazy again. So pick up a copy of DuckTales Remastered physically if you can. The hype is kind of worn off, so they're not as expensive as they used to be. If you can't get it physically, for sure, Radical Reggie's mentioned several times, this is a great game to download. So either way you pick it up, I would highly suggest getting your hands on this now. It was really well done, a lot of fun, and it just deserves to be in anybody's collection. Alright, a game that has started to get expensive already. I actually have seen this floating around in the $35 to $40 range, and it's not surprising because it is an Atlas title, and that is 3D Dot Game Heroes. This is kind of a Zelda sort of clone game with kind of a Minecraft-y sort of look. It's actually really excellent. Gerard the Completionist did a video on this and spoke really highly about this game. I would really add this to your collection as soon as possible because it is starting to go up in price really quickly. Another game you might want to consider is Persona 5. The vanilla version of Persona 5 on the PS3 is, as far as I know, the rarest version of the game. It plays fantastic on PS3. And it looks fantastic. It's one of the best looking things you can get on your PS3, and this game is getting harder to find and getting more expensive. So if you have never played Persona 5 and you want to check it out and you're looking for something new to play on your PS3, I would highly recommend this. Of course, Persona 5 Royal is bigger and better. But sometimes the original version is good enough, and when you're talking about a game that is already 80 hours plus, is the Royal version really necessary? That's for you to decide. A lot of people have been talking about the Ratchet & Clank games on the PS3 getting more expensive, and it's true. This game is already topping the $30 and $40 range. Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction. I would highly recommend picking up any Ratchet & Clank games that you can get your hands on the PS3 because they are getting more and more desirable. They're still pretty easy to find, but those prices are shooting up. Alright, a couple of games here, moving into some JRPGs that are kind of important. Tales of Xillia, and Tales of Xillia 2, I've got the steel case here, I've also got the regular case back on the shelf there. If you've never played a Tales game, these are some of the most approachable games in the series, in terms of difficulty, in terms of the controls, in terms of the graphics are pretty darn nice for the PS3, and the prices on these games are starting to shoot up. These are already moving into the $30 to $50 range, and they're only going to go up as people can no longer get digital versions of them, and of course PS3 craze is about to hit. It's already starting, and by the time we get into the summer, PS3 craze is going to be in full swing. Another game that has some value to it is Captain America. As you can see, I picked this one up for like $13 or $14 at GameStop or EB Games here in Canada a couple of years ago. This game is already pushing into the $30 and $40 range. It's actually a pretty darn good game for a superhero game. Most superhero games are fairly meh, but this one is pretty good, and I do have another superhero game in this stack that is also excellent, so stay tuned. Alright, there's a couple of collections, quite a few collections on the PS3 that I would highly recommend. Sometimes there are better ways on the PS4 to play some of these collections, but these look great, they often play pretty well. Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, these are two great ways to play these games, and I would highly recommend them if you are into this sort of game. They're absolutely beautifully animated, really interesting games from the PS2 that really deserve to be seen in their kind of HD versions on the PS3. Something else that's kind of interesting, PlayStation's version of Smash Brothers, that's PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. This game is getting kind of uncommon because it wasn't really that much of a hit. It was kind of considered to be a stinker but it's actually a lot of fun, and it's pretty cool to have that Smash Bros. Type vibe of a fighting game, but with all these cool PlayStation characters. So definitely check this one out while it's cheap. Another Atlas game that's definitely worth picking up is Dragon's Crown. This game is absolutely fantastic. The graphics are gorgeous in classic Vanillaware style. And any Atlas game is going to get more and more sought after and expensive over time. But right now you can still pick this up for $20 or so, and I would highly recommend doing so because this will be a $40 or $50 game before you know it. Now, something that is going up in price already before any of this news is Folklore. This was kind of a sleeper hit. It was considered okay back in the day, but now this game has really developed a cult following, if you will, and it's shooting up in price. It's not uncommon to see this priced at $35 or $40, at least here in Canada now, and you can expect that to rise. It's obviously like a story-based adventure, sort of RPG, but not really. Really fantastic game. Excellent early PS3 title that should not be missed, and you might want to get your hands on it before this ends up being a $75 game. One of the more expensive Tales games, we mentioned Tales of Xillia, is Tales of Grace's F, and this game is already going up into the stratosphere. You can expect to pay easily $40 or $50 for this game right now, and it's only going to go up. As far as I know, this is the only way to play this game right now. It has not been ported to the Switch or anything, neither has Xillia, but we might expect to see it at someday. But for now, this is probably the best way to play this game. It's one of the more well thought of games in the Tales series, and it looks great and it plays great, so I would definitely recommend picking this up now if you're into JRPGs. Kind of a weird, quirky JRPG is Akiba's Trip. Akiba's Trip. This game could be considered kind of kinky, but it's not really. It has this whole mechanic of people are sort of, vampires, or they've been turned into some kind of, otherworldly vampire being, and they're very susceptible to sunlight, and the battle procedure is you basically have to rip their clothes off and expose them to sunlight in order to kill them. It seems kind of quirky, but it's really actually an excellent, fun game. Really interesting gameplay, really kinetic fights. The story is interesting, the setting is modern day Japan, Tokyo, whatever. And it's a really interesting, fun, and good-looking game worth checking out. Something you don't hear people talk about very often is Tron Evolution. This game is way better than it has any right to be for a licensed game. It has a lot of the mechanics of an Assassin's Creed game with stuff like wall running and extreme platforming. It's a lot of fun. It looks beautiful. Really interesting, fun game, especially if you like the Tron franchise, the Tron movies. This game should not be missed, and it is getting a little harder to find. I've not seen an awful lot of copies of this floating around out there in the wild. You see it from time to time, but I don't think there was a huge print run on this game, so I think coming soon it's going to be a little harder to get your hands on this game. Now, you could get this game on the Switch, and arguably maybe that's the better way to do it. You can get this game digitally, you can get this game in a variety of places. However, on the Switch in North America, when you buy this game, it only comes with the first game on the cartridge, and you have to download the second game unless you manage to get the Japanese version. And that is the Final Fantasy X and X-2 Remaster, which was done in the PS3 era and just ported over to the Switch. This does have both games on the disc, and it looks pretty much the same as you're going to expect it to look on the Switch. If you can pick this up cheap, I would probably prefer playing this on the PS3 rather than the Switch. Just makes more sense. But in any case, if you can pick this up cheap, go ahead and do it, because you can probably get it cheaper than you can get the Switch version at this point in time. Another licensed game that's flown under the radar is Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor. This game is also a lot better than you would think it would be, although traditionally Lord of the Rings games on the PS2 and PS3 have been pretty great actually, but this one is one of the best ones, and it really shouldn't be missed. It is starting to go up in price. I paid $20 for this, several years ago at EB Games, and it is moving north in price. So definitely, if you'd like a solid adventure game with RPG elements, I would definitely check this out. Starting to get towards the bottom of the pile here, a couple more HD collections. Now, the jury's out on whether the Devil May Cry HD collection is fantastic or not, but it is one of the best ways to play these games in a modernized graphics way. Some people have talked about the controls not being the greatest and stuff like that. I personally enjoyed this. I did play a lot of Devil May Cry back in the PS2 days, and I didn't really find that this was in any way a problem. I really enjoyed this, and I would suspect that most Devil May Cry fans would enjoy this. And again, most of these HD collections are going to start to get more desirable as time goes on and people can't download them from the store. Another HD collection that's worth looking into, and there were definitely problems with this one, I believe particularly with I think it was the second game if I remember correctly, the Prince of Persia HD collection. Still worth picking up if you can get a good price for it. The games look fantastic, and it is arguably the most modern way to play these games. Super interesting games, a lot of fun. I really love the Prince of Persia gameplay mechanics with the extreme platforming, the wall running, and all that kind of stuff. Really engaging, fun games, and they're not bad on the HD collections. I think they were a little bit of kind of a lazy port in some ways, but not a bad way to play the games. Alright, another superhero game that is definitely worth your attention, and that is Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Now, this game has been getting expensive for a long time. I managed to pick this up at a Value Village for $2 or $3, but this was a $25 or $30 game a couple of years ago, and it's still moving north in the prices, so pick this up while you can. This is, if you enjoyed the Spider-Man game on the PS4, which everybody thought was a masterpiece, this is a masterpiece for the PS3. Should not be missed. Excellent game. Another Tales game. I've got a bunch of Tales games in here, but this is Tales of Symphonia Chronicles, which includes the original Tales of Symphonia from the GameCube, as well as Symphonia Chronicles 2, which was, I believe, exclusive to this version. Probably the best way to play these games. The port was pretty good, and these are getting harder to find as well. Generally, JRPGs hold their value better than other types of games, and you're not going to go wrong with picking this up if you find it cheap. The last one I have here, well, it's not the last one quite, but Star Ocean Last Hope International. I personally enjoyed this game, although I think the reviews are kind of all over the place for this game. You can pick this up really cheap right now. I don't know if this is ever going to be an expensive game because I don't think people really thought super highly of the game, but I personally would say that it is worth picking up while you can. You can probably pick this up for less than $10. And then the last thing I want to mention here is this behemoth here. Now, I wouldn't suggest buying this Book of Spells box set specifically for the game. The Book of Spells game from J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter universe. The game's nothing special. It's basically a tech demo for the Move controllers. What's really cool about this box set, which you can often find floating around at yard sales, flea markets, thrift stores, things like that, if it is complete where you find it, it comes bundled with a PlayStation Move controller and the camera and all the accessories you need to make the game work, along with some physical collectibles in here, like a physical spell book, which is actually kind of beautiful. I'm not going to open it up here on camera. I picked this up at a flea market last fall for about $30. I think I actually talked them down to $25, which is a hell of a steal because the Move controllers on their own are worth more. than $25 at most secondhand stores. So if you can find this bundled up somewhere, you instantly get a Move controller and the camera and all the stuff that you need for all the other games that do require Move controllers. So definitely check this out. Kind of a life hack to get some of those controllers on the cheap. Anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to check out Radical Reggie's channel. He's doing great work with all this PS3, PSN news. He's been pumping out the videos. I just thought I'd come in here and weigh in with some of my opinions on games that I think would be worth your attention. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Stay classy.